2006, a United States Marine serving in Iraq was killed in the line of duty. During the Marine's funeral, a group of protesters, using both offensive language and signs, picketed the young man's funeral. The family of the deceased Marine sued the protesters for damages on the grounds of invasion of privacy and emotional distress. The trial court's ruling in favor of the Marine's family was appealed and overturned in federal appeals court. The case eventually reached the United States Supreme Court in October of 2010. In 2011, the Supreme Court ruled in an 8-1 decision that the protesters had the right to protest the funeral of the fallen Marine. Their decision to protect our freedom of speech is honorable, but in this case, it seems that the Supreme Court did not also weigh the rights of the family and related case law concerning the tort of outrage and the intentional infliction of emotional distress. Since the original protest, demonstrations have continued at funerals of other deceased servicemen and women, police officers, coal miners, politicians, actors, and innocent crime victims. The Supreme Court's ruling will encourage protesters to continue their ruthless, thoughtless, and mindless demonstrations. The lone dissenting Justice Samuel Alito stated, quote, "Our profound national commitment to free and open debate is not a license for the vicious verbal assault that occurred in this case," end quote. Although the rights to assemble and of free speech are vital, also are the rights of citizens to mourn the loss of a loved one in serenity. These protesters show no respect for the servicemen and women who have died protecting our rights and freedoms which we cherish, including the right of free speech. They also show no respect for the United States Constitution. The protesters' attorney argued, quote, "They are protected by the First Stinking Amendment," end quote. These protesters use their right to free speech as a cloak to protect themselves from the consequences and to justify their heinous actions. We can right this wrong. Congress can pass legislation which will allow the states to amend our Constitution to prohibit protests at funerals. Alternatively, several states have already introduced and passed legislation that would prohibit such demonstrations within certain parameters during a funeral ceremony or procession. It is our duty as citizens to demand proper respect and honor for our fallen servicemen and women. Failure to address this atrocity is both morally and ethically wrong. We must not lose nor abuse our rights to assemble and free speech, but hateful and derogatory protests under such circumstances should not be protected by the First Amendment. Even enemies during war have the reverence to agree to a ceasefire on certain religious holidays and for the retrieval of dead and wounded. The rights of all citizens must be upheld. People can protest, but let them protest at another time or place. The Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." How wrong it is that we would allow some to dishonor those who have sacrificed their right to life for the liberty and happiness of those who would dishonor them.